All right, here's some curious words from Jim Bowden, who never stops pumping out stuff for The Athletic, and I appreciate him very much. He's also funny because there's sometimes you're like, what the hell is he talking about? And that's okay. I mean, he's really one of my favorites, and he's also a gift to anyone who does sports talk radio, especially in a baseball mad town, because he's always coming up with something that pertains, well, to all teams. But, he seems like he does a lot of Cardinals stuff. Cardinals should do this. Cardinals ought to make this trade, and I like it. It's like having a deranged fantasy baseball person, except, Jim was actually a general manager with the Reds and the Nationals, and he's done this job. So I really like him. Anyway, he did a piece, what all the 30 teams should do, or what they need to do, or what they're going to do between now and, say, spring training. I love those kind of things to read. I really, really do. And I really thank Jim for putting the effort in on that, because that's 30 teams you have to account for and try 100% your best to be credible rather than just kind of flinging stuff around. But the Cardinals one got me because it's so cryptic. It's really, really cryptic. It's cloaked in mystery. Let me read it to you. It's only one paragraph. He says with the Cardinals, where they are and what they're up to and what they should be up to, he says, Cardinals, assessing the trade and free agent markets. Then he continues. The Cardinals filled their biggest offseason need when they signed catcher Wilson Contreras. Now they are open-minded and looking for ways to improve their team. They are actively pursuing trades and keeping tabs on the free agent market. It is believed the Cardinals are working to acquire a certain player, but want to make sure more specifics don't become public because it would hurt their chances of completing a trade. They're not done making moves. Now, number one, I hope he's right about they're not done making moves, because I think everyone's waiting for them to make a move and can't understand why they don't make another move, because they surely need better starting pitching and more of it. And they could use a quality left-handed bat for the bench. And mostly, though, I care mostly, absolutely, about the starting pitching, because it's going to be a while before we know if they can re-sign Miles Miklasz, or they want to re-sign him, or want to re-sign Jack Flaherty or Jordan Montgomery. Because if they don't get some, first of all, even for their 2023 team, if they don't get better quality at the top, they're not going to be who they could be in terms of the overall quality of the team. So that, to me, is still a priority. And then beyond that, as we've talked about a million times, the Cardinals only have one starting pitcher under contract beyond this year. If you want to include Dakota Hudson, and I'd rather not, it would be two. Now, so we hope that Jim Bowden's right about this, that they're talking, they want to do something else, they're working on it. All right. The other thing is they're working to acquire a certain player. Well, that kind of leaves it a little wide open, huh? I don't, that doesn't exactly narrow it down, and I'm just having fun with this. But I wonder what, quote, certain player we're talking about. Is it a pitcher? A starting pitcher? I know that the people that are obsessing over Brian Reynolds are probably just, if you're sitting in a chair, sit down. Just sit down so you don't fall over. Because just a whiff, just the scent of Brian Reynolds will have many hyperventilating, even though they have plenty of outfielders and their biggest need is starting pitching. And we've talked about this a bunch. If you're going to give up some of the Fabergé eggs, give them up to get a number one caliber starting pitcher in here. You don't need to cram another outfielder in here, right? Especially a guy who can't play defense. So enough about that. But what do you think? I wonder who the certain player is. And why? Who is this player? It must be big if the Cardinals are what Jim Bowden implies here. They don't want to say a damn thing because they don't want anything to become in public because they think it'll hurt their chances of completing a trade. Wonder who that would be.
I have thought about this when I read it this morning. I went, oh, my goodness. It doesn't say certain type of player. So it doesn't mean it is a pitcher or what. And I started going, okay, what kind of player, who would that be? Because he implies it's got to be, I hate to just bring this up, it's like a superstar player that all of a sudden people go, oh, he's available? Well, and the Cardinals wouldn't want that getting out because then there's other teams go, well, if he's available, let's go knock on their door and ring up the price. There's a name that came to mind, and here immediately, and this is
tell us.
This is not a player I go, well, that fixes problems. Mike Trout came to my head right away.
Yeah, I mean,
just based on what he said, because if Mike Trout's available, then everybody's calling. Well, he's available. Where? What do you got? What do you got? But when I said it, Bernard went, yeah, but that doesn't fix the pitching problem, does it?
Well, this guy's like a locked first ballot Hall of Famer, and the only problem, look, I'd be very excited about that. I mean, we're just speculating and talking and spitballing and all this stuff, right? But he does have, he does get hurt a lot. He's missed a lot of ball.
Mm-hmm. He's 30 years old now too.
Yeah, that's the only thing that bothers me. I don't know with that injury history. I'm assuming it would have to be the proverbial king's ransom and then some. I just wonder if the risk factor is too great. If you're giving up, really, really giving up a bunch of top guys. The other thing is the Angels are for sale, and if I'm one of these billionaires,
mm-hmm.
well, I should say multi-billionaires, who want to buy that team and maybe raise the profile and maintain the value of the franchise, I don't think you do that by trading one of the greatest players in the history of the game away at age 30 when you already have him under contract. I just don't see how that helps your cause. So that's why I would be skeptical of that, highly skeptical of that.
I'm there with you, and I agree with all that. The only little thing I would add to it is, we saw what the Rockies did. So that franchise hasn't been run very well out there in Southern California. Maybe they're going to do the same thing, I should say, that the Colorado Rockies did. When they said, yeah, okay, sure, maybe we'll give you some cash. I'm not saying they would do that, but it's just a thought because they do have Ohtani as a guy they want to try and probably keep around too.
The Angels have been adding players this offseason as well,
mm-hmm.
and I think that's something to take into consideration. It's why, first of all, they're going to trade Ohtani, and everyone has these Ohtani fantasies. Look, Ohtani's going to leave the Angels a year from now unless there's another version of Steve Cohen that buys the team and just says, well, you just tell us what you want, done deal, gives them $800 million or something. But he'll want to play in New York in all likelihood anyway, because that's where all the marketing stuff is, and you get a lot more attention. Maybe you play for the Dodgers, that's different. But anyway, I didn't mean to talk about Ohtani, but I'm just saying I don't think they're going to trade him ahead of schedule. I don't know, who knows? But I just wanted to look at something really quick before I proceed, and I apologize. This offseason they've signed Tyler Anderson to be in their rotation, Brandon Drury, who's actually a pretty good utility guy, play third, first, and second, and a couple other people. So it's not all that exciting, but they have spent those three. And Carlos Estevez, who's a relief pitcher, and not bad. They've spent about, 56, I'm going to call it $70 million on those three guys. So if I think it's a situation, and Trout is happy as an Angel. Arenado was not, and Arenado was going to continue to remind the idiot at the time general manager out there that he wanted out, and that situation wasn't going to go away. Trout's a really class guy, and there is no point in time ever has he ever hinted he wants out of the Angels. Now, if they would bring something to him, yeah, I'm sure there's some places he would like to go. I'm sure because of Albert Pujols, I'm sure that he has a high opinion of St. Louis. We know he's got a high opinion of where he comes from, the New Jersey suburbs of Philadelphia. So, sure, I think would be happy if he's traded to the right team, but he's not a dissident. He's not a guy that's going to rock the boat and say, I want out, I want out, I want out. And that's what fueled the Arenado trade. And Colorado doesn't try to win. They're really stupid, and they have no ambition. Artie Moreno is incredibly stupid, but, man, he's not afraid to keep trying and trying and trying. But the point is he's selling the team. And, again, I don't know why somebody would want a team that just traded Mike Trout. I just don't understand the logic there.
I'm there with you. We had to come up with names. Here from the text line.
Yeah.
It says, why not – maybe the player is – sorry, I said not why not. It says maybe the player is Sandy Alcantara.
That's really interesting, and that's a great wish, but didn't they sign him to a deal?
Yes, I would agree with that. It's an interesting ask by the texter because, again, it's Bowden's little idea here, so we're speculating, but that would be a nice get. Maybe they wouldn't want anybody to know that he's available, again, to run up the cost. I don't know.
Yeah, he signed a deal through 2026, and there's also a club option for 2027, and it's at a bargain rate given the escalation of starting pitching salaries. And this guy won the Cy Young this past season. Mm-hmm. He's only going to make $6 million this year, $9 million in 2024. It jumps to $17 million in 2025, and then in 2026 it's $17 million. And then the option for 2027 is $21 million. Now, let's think about all the starting pitching contracts that have been dished out this winter. What is the benefit for Miami to trade him when you've got the best pitcher arguably in the National League because he won the Cy Young? We know he's great. We know he's durable as hell. There's no injury history. He's a class guy. You can promote him and market him in your community. And they claim they want to try to get better. But with that bargain rate, and that's what it is now, it's insane to trade him, quite frankly. It makes no sense. When you see teams, paying dudes 30, 35, 40 million a year now, 25 million a year, and you're getting him at a time where you would have him through 2027, and only 1 year of those, the last year, would be a contract, in excess of $20 million for the year. That's one of the best contracts. The timing of that contract was perfect, because it prevented him from going to free agency. And man, the money left on the table there. And I'm not saying he made a mistake. The time he signed the deal, it made plenty of sense. But now it's, from a team standpoint, there may not be a better bargain in baseball.
Yep, that is true. I got another one from our text line. It says, how about Eduardo Rodriguez, the candidate from the Detroit Tigers?
Ooh, no thanks.
He adds, look at his career Ks, K percentage, not including last year.
It was kind of a bad first year in Detroit, and maybe he would like to start over, and maybe the Cardinals have some interest in him, although they could sign him as a free agent. But what happened with him last year? It was kind of weird. Was it? I'm
trying to remember. He did have some issues.
Yeah.
I don't remember what that issue was. Let's see if I can remember.
Here's something they're talking about him. I'm reading a credible. Pretty credible Tigers blog, and they're saying that, like, for example, Detroit gave one of their guys a $10 million contract for next year, Matthew Boyd, talking about some of the bad deals that have been handed out there so far. I mean, you think about it. Some of these contracts are really kind of ridiculous. But so Rodriguez signed a 5-year deal worth $77 million. That looked like a pretty solid signing at the time. It really did. But his first year with the Tigers, kind of weird. Got off to a pretty decent start. Well, I don't know if you consider a 4.38 ERA with 34 strikeouts and 17 walks. That's a lot in 39 innings. Then he left the start on May 18th with a rib cage strain. And then, as this writer notes, things started to go off the rails. He made a rehab start, looked like he was ready to come back. He was placed on the restricted list on June 13th because of personal issues. No speculation of what that is. So he missed the next 2 months on top of the 3 weeks he had already missed because of the personal issues. He was out all the way until August 9th and made 9 starts down the stretch. And he ended up in 17 starts about a 4.05 ERA. Do the Cardinals seem like the kind of organization that would – the point is they need people who are durable and who can make a lot of starts and strike a lot of people out. The Cardinals are very, very conservative. Do they seem like the kind of team that would say, well, wait a minute, why did he just leave the team and take off a couple months? Now, maybe we don't know what his personal issues were, but for a team like the Cardinals that loves stability to the point of excess at times, that sounds like a kind of move they'd be like, I don't think so.
I'm there with you. Again, I'm not going to speculate what the issues were, but the fact that they were there after they've gone through the issues with Ozuna, and we know Carlos Martinez wasn't that stable, I don't think they would ever want to explore any of those options anytime soon. Let's put it that way.
Hey, I was reading. I always read Derek Gould's chat on STL Today. Mm-hmm. Always love it.
Yep.
I always look because I like to see what fans are thinking about and what they want. I was astonished, and I'm not often astonished anymore because it's kind of an anything goes culture. And even Cardinals fans, and it's a conservative fan base that doesn't like a lot of radical things, and I use radical loosely. God forbid, Jack Flaherty. I don't even know what he did. Did he take a knee? In 2020, I don't even know what he did. I don't remember. I didn't care either. But a Jack Flaherty, whether it was like he was some kind of support of Black Lives Matter or whatever it was very, very low key. Although he has said some things on Twitter, but that's his right as an American. By the way, fans have a right to dislike somebody as well. But what I'm trying to say, you have a guy like Jack Flaherty. Who is despised in this town now. Absolutely despised because of a couple of small things where he was showing his support for, after what had happened in the death of the dude in the Twin Cities. And I'm being clumsy here, and I apologize. Anyway, my point is, number of people was asking Derek Gould, I think the Cardinals should sign Trevor Bauer. Do you think that they're considering that?
Oh.
And Derek shot it down politely, and for obvious reasons, and reasons that should be obvious to anybody that, frankly's got a brain that's working all right. That's not a Cardinals move, okay?
No
and even if the stuff didn't happen with Bauer or the things he did, and I know he wasn't arrested, I know he's not going to jail, I know all that. But that was still some pretty tawdry and ugly stuff. But even without that, he's always been a guy in the clubhouse that is almost universally disliked. The guy is half cuckoo.
Yes.
Maybe he's 3/4 cuckoo. And he's always stirring stuff up. And this was even before what happened with him that got him suspended. Where is the disconnect in the brain wires? Do you think, like Bill DeWitt? Oh yeah, let's go get Trevor.
Yeah,
what?
No chance. I mean, Nick was,
and then all these other chatters were like coming in saying like, Derek, I can't believe you. It's an obvious move, Derek. I can't believe you would say that. And I'm like, what? Where do I live? Right. What is happening? What's happening to my peoples?
Bauer has had so many issues prior to L.A.
Oh, my goodness.
I would go back to when he was in Cleveland and he threw the ball over the center field wall and Francona took him out. And Francona's a great manager. I was like, okay,
he's enough. A player's guy.
Yeah.
Well, how about him being unable to pitch in the World Series, at least early in the World Series, or maybe it was in the ALCS, because he's out there, working on his drone or something.
Yes.
And slices his thumb open, and like a major big deal slice of the thumb. And so I know that he couldn't pitch for a little while, and I think they tried to use him, and I don't remember what happened, but how do you do that when you're about to start the World Series? You're out there like playing with drones, and the guy's a weirdo, man. And I've made the point the Cardinals need more edge. I'm fine if they get people that are a little more racy and a little more edgy than what they have. But this guy's at a whole nother level when it comes to that. Because one of the goofy people in there said, like, well, Derek, after all, look at what happened when they got John Lackey. He's guy's got a mean guy and he's got edge, and he was great for the Cardinals. Yeah, he was, but John Lackey's a hell of a competitor, and he was never under investigation for the stuff that Trevor Bauer's under investigation for. Plus, John Lackey never. There were some teammates that could take him or leave him, but no one doubted his heart. No one doubted how much he wanted to win, and they accepted his ways because there was nothing inherently wrong with him. He was edgy. He said what he thought. But he didn't hurt the team by doing that. He may have hurt some feelings, but that team, when they got him in that trade in 2014 or 13, whenever that was, they needed someone that might step on some toes in that clubhouse. And John Mozeliak said it at the time, but that doesn't mean he didn't. That's a whole separate situation than Trevor Bauer. And frankly, I cannot believe that me or anyone else would have to explain that. It's not even in the same universe.
Yeah, that one's not going to work ever.
So anyway,
a couple more.
I love this.
Yeah, I got a couple more from the same guy who sent in Eduardo Rodriguez when you asked.
Yeah.
When we were talking about why he missed, he goes, well, maybe he owns a basketball team.
That's really good.
I like
kudos.
That. Yeah.
Kudos.
Another suggestion, Pablo Lopez.
Well, yeah, of course. He makes a lot of sense, and he's sort of a favorite topic as well, which I think is good. But he's got some time left on his contract, although not that much. But I just wanted to look at him for a second here. That's good, though, because, that may be an obvious one, but that's a pretty good one. Like last year, for example, in 2021, he had a great strikeout rate, 27.5%. That's really good for a starter. Last year, that fell to 23.5%. I don't know why, but I think he's a really good pitcher. Pardon me, 1 second, man. He had a 3.75 ERA. It did go up, but his fielding independent ERA was 3.71. He's got a lot going for him. High ground ball rate, good strikeout punch, walk rate a little bit high. Don't like that. No, there's a lot there to like. But let me see what his contract is, and that's the only thing about. I love taking these suggestions, but I also want to answer the pros and the cons, And, But I'm pretty quick on my feet here as far as getting to people though, to see what their contract status is. All right, he becomes an unrestricted. He's got 2 years. He becomes an unrestricted free agent before the start of the 2025 season, and he ain't making big money. That's another big thing on as far as a motivation for getting him. And, would Miami be willing to trade him? Well, I think they would, but they'd probably ask for a lot, or maybe more than they should. But why not? That's the whole point. But the Lopez situation is a lot different than the Alcantara situation, where the team would be totally nuts to trade him. Is he a number one starter, though? What is he? And I don't say that to be a smart aleck. In fact, I'm going to do it again, and then we'll take a break. We got our guy, Ira Kaufman, coming up at 4:30. We don't have to break right now, but I also know we got to get our spots in and all that stuff. But let me do this real quick, and if with everyone's permission, let's see where he was last year. I'm talking about Pablo Lopez, where he ranked among certain pitchers. And, Alcantara was 4th in the majors in wins above replacement. And then you go down and go down and go down. And Lopez was 28th. He was 2.8 wins above replacement. That's good. That's not bad. You're 28. There's a lot of starting pitchers in baseball. But That's exactly what Adam Wainwright had last year, and it's along the lines of, like, let me give you this. Miles Michaelis, 2.7 wins above replacement. Waino, 2.8. Lopez, 2.8. So what you're talking about is you're adding – look, I think he's younger and fresher and all that. He's got more stuff right now. But still, that's not like a number one guy. That's more like a number two. Unless you have a really great rotation, then it would be a number three. So it's an upgrade. They could use him. Don't get me wrong. I like him a lot. But does it fill the number one need you have, which is a number one starter?
I'm there with you.
But he's good. He's really good.
He's good. There's no doubt about that. So, I tell you what, I got two more.
Okay, please.
Actually, one more suggestion here off the text
Sure.
line. Shane Bieber, ?
Well, that's been rumored too, and I don't know what to make of those rumors. I don't. And that doesn't mean I don't think that he would be a worthy target. Last season for the Indians, he had just under 5 wins above replacement, which was like tied for the 7th best in the majors among starting pitchers. He was better than Corbin Burns. He was better than Zach Gallen. He was better than Yu Darvish. He was better than Jose Quintana. A whole long Merrill Kelly, Garrett Cole, a whole long list of starting pitchers. So he would absolutely fill the bill. And he also is a guy. Let me double check this too, and I do have time, and it won't take long because he's right here, where I can snatch him. Bieber is got a strikeout rate like in 2021, it was 33%. That's awesome, and last year 25%, which is really good. So in that context, he doesn't walk. He did walk too many in 2021. Last year wasn't bad. He's really good. So, yeah, to me, that's a live name. I don't know what the price would be, but that's a sensible name, and I think it's grounded in reality, unlike some of the other stuff that, well, Derek, they got to go get Trevor Bauer. What are you talking about, Derek? I can't believe you're against this. A Shane Bieber thing's grounded in reality, and the Cardinals also have a trading history with Cleveland.
Yeah, and he would fit the bill of Bowden's, description of, well, we don't want a lot of people making a bid on this guy. We're trying to keep it quiet. So that would make sense.
Right.
Yeah.
And let me check his contract. Final thing I'll do on this. Same thing. He's under, like Lopez. He is under contract for 2 more seasons. Can become a free agent before the 2025 campaign. His estimated arbitration salary. It's just an estimate, but they're pretty good at this. About $11.7 million for 2023, and there's no estimate obviously for 2024, unless the team that acquires him or unless the Indians extend his contract. Mm-hmm. So anyway, but again, I repeat, that's a good name. I know that's been brought up, and that's cool, and I think that's a good one. And keep those text messages coming because we can get back to this. It's fun, and I try really quick to respond. Like I sort of have like an instant response team here of me. Looking up all this stuff about the pros and cons right on the fly. So I like that. It's kind of a challenge, and I like it. And I know I have to, stumble around. Not even stumble around. It just takes, 30 seconds, 40 seconds to get the information up. That's all.